We're live. We're back. We're back.
Bravo.
Just like that. Like a bad rash, Bambos. We're back. You know what? You've got so much food in your teeth. It's fantastic. It's the worst it's ever been.
It's chocolate.
God forbid we don't come back into our worst moments. Can you go fix that? I can't look at you for an hour like that.
Actually, we're not going to fix that. We're going to let you look at me for an hour. Today,
we're discussing big life changes. It's been 7 weeks. Tons of stuff has happened, and we're going to discuss it for the hour on
a wonderful
chaos with chocolate and teeth. Hello. Nice to see you again.
Good morning, Andy. This is the first time I see him. The first person I see in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, after flying in last night.
How many weeks have you been away?
I left on the 7th of October.
Okay.
And today is 11.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how in love are you?
Oh, fuck me, man. I'm full body fuck yes.
Wow. How does that feel?
I spoke to our friend Joan Lovasio yesterday. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday, before I left. No, 2 days ago.
Okay.
And we were kind of catching up. And we've kind of had similar experiences with online dating in the past.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And we
discussed her experiences.
Yeah.
Great episode, Joanne Lavazia, scammed on the internet. Yeah.
And we have 3 people looking, and it's guys. Don't you have a life? It's
I know, get a life, please.
But I shared with her. Yeah, I've been really patient with who and what I want to invite into my life.
Yeah,
and Anna really fits perfectly.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful because there's nothing in our connection, including our families, because we've both met each other's families.
Oh, did you? You did the family gatherings as well.
Yeah, and I've also been staying at her house, and her mother's really loving and warm.
So your mom met her mom?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
No.
Okay.
That's going to happen when I go back.
Yeah. Are you worried about that at all?
No.
Oh, no, I wouldn't, of course, but I just was wondering.
My mother also just checks in with me. Do they know you have a child? Do they know? Oh, yeah. I'm like, Mom, I've shared everything because I just don't want the burden of hiding a part of myself.
The skeletons of the closet. But you're like, Mom, I've done 280 shows where I've talked about everything in my life. I mean, her mom is well known there, so your mom probably also knows her.
Yeah, she does. My mother said that she really enjoyed some of her interviews.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Well, I like I said, I didn't know her mother was a kind of celebrity, so we actually went to a fish tavern.
Okay.
Just last week on the weekend, and I did notice a lot of heads turning.
Oh, because they recognized her. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, are people going to be coming to say hello?
Okay. And did they?
Only one waitress came and introduced herself.
Okay.
But that was it.
Yeah. That's always a bit weird, isn't it? Yeah.
I arrived last night, and I feel really emotional being back. Like it's been really surreal.
What came up for you when you came?
Well, because I don't have my house here right now. Someone's living in my house, and in Cyprus I don't have my own house. I feel like, I actually don't belong anywhere. Administratively, I'm registered in this place, and I live in another place, but I'm not. I don't really have a place, and I haven't had that feeling for a while. And it's okay, actually. I live out of a suitcase. Even in Cyprus, I have my suitcase open in the bedroom. I live out of that.
Yeah.
But being back and the tendency is like, I'm going to go home and unpack and.
Oh yeah, because you're back, but you're not really back.
No, I'm actually staying in this guy's house right now.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Wow.
having me.
Yeah, nice to have you here. Yeah, wow, that's wild. Yeah. Hmm.
So people are curious, am I going to come back to Holland?
Yeah, that's going to be the question everyone has on their minds, of course.
I still don't. Like, I don't know. But right now I'm leaning more towards Cyprus because being there
Mm-hmm.
has been pretty amazing, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
We discussed on one of the other shows that like when you left, you weren't in a good place. There was drugs and all the other stuff going on. So now
When I left Cyprus, not Amsterdam.
Andy, come on. So this is a long time ago, right? How many years? We're talking decades, not years, right? How many years ago we talked?
40. Well, I left 46, 47 years ago.
So you left 46 years ago?
46, yeah.
That can't be right.
I was 19. I'm 44. I'll be 45 in January.
Yeah, so you left like 20 some odd years ago.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So that's a long time away and a lot of healing sense. So when you go back now, what does it feel like? Because it's almost like you might experience the exact same thing, but it would be totally different. So what discoveries or what things do you see differently now?
I'm more detached.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm living my life, just doing my thing, I like going into nature and like I have my own reality. And as soon as I meet people, there might be conversations like, wow, they're really like the government's really cornering us and there's all these things. I'm like, oh wow, that's also a reality. But I don't really let that in anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
It's more like, oh yeah, I can see that. And I also don't see it.
Yeah. I think one of the interesting things is that when we first started having our contact, there was an aspect to you which I saw as what I've associated more with Cypriot, which is a very alpha male type man. So how is it for you to go back and meet those people? And if so, if you have any stories of that, it would also be interesting. Like the situations where you've been meeting alpha male men where you might have met them in aggression before, but now you're like, oh, I'm not interested in that.
Nothing came up. I think also where I am, Andy, my energy is not even looking.
Not drawing it towards you.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
I think my brother is a little bit, my brother is the definition of an alpha male.
Okay.
He's really into his martial arts. He sleeps about 3-4 hours a day because he's studying.
Wow.
And he works 12 hours as a paramedic and he's doing full-time education. So he's, and in between, he's like doing a lot of fighting sports.
Wow.
So he's got this full-on schedule, riding a motorbike, and he's going to go to Greece and do like a training in somewhere like really extreme.
Yeah.
And he loves that life, but I see that he's really carrying all that energy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, funny. Will he actually fight, like on the street fight, or would it just be things that are set up?
No, not anymore.
No.
He when you know how to fight, you don't fight.
Yeah, anymore. Yeah.
Cyprus in general, there's a lot of differences. Like Cypriots don't give a shit. They'll park a car, like you've got the lines.
Yeah.
They'll take 2 lines in the car.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Or they'll park diagonally, so the ass of the car is sticking out. Or
So
they'll park on the pavement.
Yeah.
When you talk to them, there's a kind of sense of that's not right to do it like that. Like there's a very strong sense of right and wrong.
Okay.
But
when you say not to do what, give me an example of something that might not be when they say that's not right.
Oh,
to do like
I was running with my t-shirt off during noon, and this guy said it's not correct to run without your t-shirt on.
Was it some fat man who's like, look at this asshole? That makes me feel uncomfortable.
It had to do more with religion.
Oh yeah, okay.
And someone told me, yeah, I grew up next to a church, and I'm like, I believe that because there's a fucking church on every corner.
Yeah.
It's literally.
Yeah, and you got the influence of that as you feel it when you're in society there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And did they
And
push it on you or no?
No.
Okay.
Cypriot brains are designed to, I've made that statement, are designed to be offended.
Oh yeah.
So I'm really cautious not to get into intense discussions.
I would have beat that out of your system, and in the years we've been together.
You did.
Yeah. don't defend. Defense is futile. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
But it's a little. You gave me like magic powers in a way, because when you feel someone's having a tough day and they're looking for that, and you don't give them anything to hold on to, they get shocked.
Yeah, there's no response. It's almost like they need that response, and they didn't even realize it, so you didn't give it to them.
I've also discovered several men in my family have the same vulnerability as me, only not capable of fully expressing it. Yeah. But I can see it in their eyes. So I was having a reunion. I was like, wow, the vulnerability runs in my family.
How did you recognize it?
I was sitting across from my first cousin, and I just looked at him during this busy dinner, and I looked at him like, wow, it's hard to believe that we've met after, because I didn't see him since I was 15. I met them beginning of the year, and I'm like, wow, I really love you. And I'm really looking forward to get to know you better. And I could see his eyes watering up. It was so beautiful.
Oh, wow.
So if you're listening, Banayodis, I love you.
Yeah. Funny. Anyone mention when you were home about these shows? Were they watching these or anything, or did they?
My sister was like, you talk and talk and talk. Where do you come up? Like, you don't shut up.
Yeah.
But she said it in a very nice way.
That's great. It's kind of funny because on the first shows, I would have been more talking more, and the later shows, you started chiming in more, which is really sweet as well. Yeah. Yeah, it was weird for me because in that 7 weeks that we've been away, of course, I went to Spain when you went to Cyprus.
You've been a farmer, Andy, with your straw hat.
Yeah.
Can you see your hands?
There are not, but there was a few calluses that came on. Yeah, there's a broken finger there. That's not a farmer hand yet, no. But I did have to clean under my nails, so that I had to do on several occasions.
Because Ronnie told you?
No, because I'm digging in, right? Like, there's nothing better than getting your hands in the soil and just feeling connected to nature. So as I was, because you have to prune the olive trees. There's a few hundred olive trees on the farm. So you do that twice a year, and it hadn't been done in a while. So I spent a good week going to each tree on the farm and just pruning it.
And naming it.
I didn't name them yet, no, but there were some that had already kind of, they brought up and evoked emotions in me connected to people. So I already saw some tendencies of,
really?
Yeah. I mean, one of the trees I love because it's the former caretaker of the house. There's something that you do on the farm is when you burn a fire, you take the ash and you dribble it around the olive trees because the insects are not they're repulsed by it. So
you put the ash around on the soil
around an olive tree,
and that prevents
the insects from getting into it.
I love it.
They just react to it, and then they go away. So but the funny thing was that the guy, he didn't look to see if they hadn't fully been burnt. So he put these ashes around the tree, and then the tree caught on fire. And that's a big deal there, as you can imagine, because it's a very arid place. And, think about it, you've got a 1,000-year-old olive tree that's not burning, and there's a few other 1,000-year-old olive trees around.
This didn't happen now.
Yeah, this happened years ago.
Story. Okay.
Yeah, and so that, and I learned all the lessons. I mean, the one thing I learned about owning a farm is like it's a quick education curve. You learn like why you do and why you don't do certain things. It's really quite there's a lot more going on than meets the eye. Like, I can't cut certain trees at certain periods because if I cut them too early, insects come. So you actually have to wait. So they'll say you can't prune those trees now. You can prune these trees anytime you want. So there is a lot of know-how, of course, that you build up as you're working the land.
Do you have
But,
salads there? Do you have any greens?
You know, not a lot of salads in Spain. Not a lot of, but I mean, I'll grow salad when I'm there, and I have all of the because there's the kind of the garden shop that's got all of the salad. So what I'll do before I go next time, there's the caretaker who's on site, and I'll just say, hey, listen, 3 months before I come home, do me a favor and plant all the veggies.
Nice.
So that'll be kind of how I arrange it going forward.
Well, you probably have to wait till spring, right?
No, you don't. No, because it is warm there all year round, and the frost or the cold isn't such that it will destroy the veggies. So you just have to time it out a little bit. Yeah. So
yeah. So I was thinking along the lines of Cyprus.
Okay.
Yeah, but it is warm year round. But you're in the mountains, isn't there snow?
No snow where I am. No.
Cool.
No, it's. To get to the ocean, it's a half an hour, and to get to the skiing, it's an hour and a half. But you kind of have to drive around. I mean, if it was just driving up the hill, it would be less than 30 minutes to get to the snow. But since I have to drive around the hill to get to the real ski slopes, it takes a bit more time. Yeah.
So good to be with you, man.
Wow. Yeah, but it was a time what I found really sweet about the time was that I was reducing the activity of like the being in the world, right? The having a coaching call, mentoring a business. So all of the work that kind of I've created even an identity around, like, oh, I'm good at being a mentor to businesses. Like that all disappeared. And now I'm just sitting with this 1,000-year-old tree and taking care of it. And what I found really sweet was there was it felt natural. I didn't feel the resistance that actually this felt as meaningful as that. And in some ways, I hear often people like when they talk about meaning and purpose, it always has to be this elevated thing of I'm going to change the world. I'm going to touch 1 million people, like all those high level vision mission statements. And what I found so beautiful was that it was just being with these trees and taking care of them, and then going to bed at night and just feeling the peace and the kind of like surrender of that being just a really beautiful life. So that was something, and then you're gonna laugh, but you can imagine what happens all of a sudden the business. So I'm getting 20 more calls for people to work at the same time as I'm more connected to the land, which it evened itself out, because what I also found is I could work in the morning and then get on Zoom calls in the afternoon. So it was fine. But
so you pretty much substitute your walks with working on the land.
Yeah, because here in Amsterdam, I'll wake up early and I'll walk, and then I'll do my, after this I'll walk, and then I'll do my calls for the day. So now it was working. It was really nice because there were days when I always measure it in steps, and then these measurements, it's always 10,000 steps. And and working on the farm, I would never leave the property, and I'd walk over 20,000 steps in a day.
So Andy's new book is going to be 20,000 steps
on the farm. What I learned, but yeah.
I mean, I feel you there. I mean, I'm here in Amsterdam for 6 days. Actually, I'm leaving next Thursday again for photo shoots, and it was funny because I thought, wow, I was staying at my partner's house also, and also my brother's, and she lives in the middle of nowhere. So Cyprus has no structure. The roads suck. If there's a flood, there's a flood.
I got it.
So I'm on this farmland, and I had to, I like working out. So they've got the vineyard things, and I'm doing my pull-ups there. Like I have a whole setup now. But the funny thing is, I thought I'm going to be here. Now I've got my laptop. I can now write and create a new life for myself. And all of a sudden, I'm getting like messages after messages. Hey, Amsterdam, photo shoot, conference. And I started giving these shoots away to colleagues. And I'm like, this is stupid. I've worked hard for this, and now I'm giving it to other people. So I started planning them in.
Nice.
So that was really surreal, and I felt really a lot of tension in me in the beginning, like oh, I should be back in Amsterdam now. But I'm happy I planned it the way I did. So now I'm here for 6 days.
Yeah.
and it feels like I actually surrendered to Cyprus and just allowing whatever feels good. So okay, this feels good, so I'm going to go back now, and maybe that's going to be my life.
Yeah.
But I do see myself staying there a little bit longer than what I anticipated.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
And while I'm there, I also started coaching. So I'm a little bit like you. I have a couple of clients that I have calls with. We're meeting one in an hour and a half.
Nice. And you're doing this men's retreat, this sort of ambitious. What is that all about?
What's it all about? It's me sharing my excitement, Andy. Like I've been having this beautiful lifestyle that I love, and I'm sharing it with other people.
Yeah.
And I'm using the men's retreat as a way to experiment. And of course, it's not only physical training. There's going to be a lot of sharings and voicing, expressing, sexual mastery. So a lot of tantric practices that men can do by themselves. And of course, it's going to be the cold exposure, because I find the cold to be one of the best ways to get more embodied. And I want it to be an experience, like not. My brother said, "Hey, you should explain to everyone why," and I'm like, "Yeah, you could, but I also want people to experience it, and they can tell me what is for them."
Yeah. So not teaching them; it's more giving them the experience and letting them.
And I already have one co-facilitator. He's going to be doing qigong.
Oh, sweet!
And finding villas in the mountains has been really fun.
That gotta be fun, yeah.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the times with Case when I would go and look all over Amsterdam to find unique places to do which is why we're in this building now, was because I knocked on the door and said, "Hey, can I do a training here?"
Really?
That's how we came to the building. I was having a coffee across the street and I saw the building. I said, "Hey, I want to be in that place." And then we got in.
And not only are you in, you're here.
Yeah. Speaking of which, there was a lot of excitement, as you know, on the building. Amsterdam's Velvaarten. We haven't really talked ever about the building that much on the show. It's sort of a secret hideaway. It's been a business location for me for many, many years. And what we decided about, I guess about a week ago now, a week ago, to sell it. So we put it online, and that's now online.
Well, the thought has been burning for a while.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it was clear it was going to be online, but it's the process has begun, and I get questions day after day. So where are you going after? Where are you going after? Where are you going after? And I'm like,
doesn't fucking know.
I don't know. Are you kidding me? Like I barely plan. So I see myself answering the same thing, like I'm just surrendering, and life will show. But I mean, I don't know. I see that in a way people like to have concrete answers. When you don't have that answer, it sort of confuses them.
Yeah. So, how can you not know?
How can you not know? Exactly. How can you not know?
Well, I'm also curious about you and your wife. Like Rani just started a new job recently, and so you and her work is more in the city life.
Yeah.
And you bought a place in Spain. So how's that? How's that?
That was interesting, because I spent 2 months at the house in Spain while Ronnie was often in Amsterdam. And what like that created was a little bit of a fear, I would even say, from Ronnie's side, because she was a bit like, "Andy, I see you love this place, and I don't want to take that away from you." So we had a little bit of a moment of how do we navigate this, because clearly you want to be there, right? She's talking to me now. And I don't see that as a possibility at the moment. And it was funny for me, because I was like, I love being here, and I also love being in Amsterdam. So I can't say that one is like, "Oh, I'm miserable." No, I'm never miserable. It's just I like that environment, right? I mean, for those that want to look it up, it's called Orkiva. It's in the
Put the links on the bottom of this, please.
Yeah.
You guys have to see this building and also the new building.
Yeah, they're two really special places. So I just feel very connected to nature there. I mean, there's nothing better than like I wake up at 6 and I know when the International Space Station is coming up. So I see the International Space Station in the morning because it comes up about half an hour before the sun. So I just see this little dot floating through the universe and see it like, wow, look at that thing. That's amazing. That's the International Space. And then the sun, and to have a 360 view from up on a mountain is awe-inspiring. So every morning I just feel like, the emotional, just tears sort of running down my face at the beauty of life, just this beauty. And also I just love, ever since I was young, I love stars, just looking up and feeling how insignificant I am in the middle of this vastness. Yeah. And when you have so little light, diffusion, whatever the word is, but where you actually get to see the beauty of this magnificent light show every night. It's really been that experience is something that I just really love.
And being in a Mediterranean country, because Cyprus and Spain are on the similar latitude, or whatever you want to call it. The changes in the sky and it's really profound.
because you get, which is interesting, is you get all of the sand from the Sahara Desert that blows into the air, goes over the Mediterranean, and then the sky becomes that red sky because of the particulate of that sand.
Not to mention that sand ends up in your house if the windows are open.
Exactly. I've got Roomba every morning taking the sand away, right?
Roomba, for those of you who don't know, is a little robot that actually cleans.
I've got 3 Roombas actually. Not there, but in general, so that experience, feeling closer to nature. There's cats and dogs that are always there, and we're feeding them. And there's something beautiful around around animals as well. So.
And the dogs in these countries are not like the dogs in Amsterdam, for example. In Amsterdam, everyone, cute dogs, well groomed. Over there, they look like they came out of a bar fight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they do really like droopy eyes because
one eye scratched. Limping.
Yeah, like as they walk to you, you're scared, even if they're not barking, because they look so beat up. You're like, wow, this guy, does he know how to receive love? Most of them don't as well, right? Yeah. So that's been a bit of an interesting change. I befriended 3 dogs there that were really nasty to begin with, and one of them still barks, right? And I can't quite tell exactly what their behavior is, because we're. But they'll get aggressive still till today.
Can you touch them?
Oh yeah. One of them I kind of put a glove on because I wanted to kind of get closer, but I knew that I was risking a bite. So, but I like what I do is, you're gonna laugh. Is I was taught by another Spanish person. I bend over and look like I'm gonna pick up a rock, and then they ran away.
Okay.
It's the weirdest thing. Like someone said to me, Andy, just toss a rock towards them, because there was a point where some of these were just too aggressive to you needed to manage it somehow. And so it was the weirdest thing. So what it tells you is that these dogs are really being abused, because if just by bending over, they already run away, that's happened 100 times before, right?
Oh, a good sign to see if a dog's been abused is go to pet it on the head, and you see they crouch.
Yeah. So that was that experience. And I mean, and the funny thing we haven't discussed, but when the building, some people have seen it, some have not. It's a special building, but it's so special.
Which one are we talking about?
The one we're in now. Sorry, coming back to Amsterdam. It's so special that some asshole, who knows from what, he sees the house published on the real estate site, right? And he says, "Oh, this is incredible. Who the hell did this?" So then he starts doing research on me, on the owner of the building. He digs into my life, and then he writes a fucking article that he puts online, And
it's like, the Americans.
No, he said the silly Americans.
Silly Americans.
He's the Yank. I mean, it was all just like, just like no consciousness at all, right? Nothing like, oh, look at the fact that we brought artisans from your country, spent a lot of money to have them use their work, instead of like seeing the benefit to the society here and the curating and caretaking of a house, which God knows just the maintenance was amazing.
And just to give context, this house is from 1830.
Yeah.
It's a monumental building. It's a historic building.
Yeah.
It's also documented in the Historic Museum of Amsterdam, and it has connection to the Quakers, to the Calvary family. So it's not just a house. It's a historic building, and we're sitting facing the window right now because of the light.
Yeah.
And every day you'll get tourists making pictures of the building just because it's that special. So it is a big deal.
Yeah, but the asshole, getting back to the asshole.
A hole of an ass.
Just taking the one thing that the walls are painted with, they're painted by the same artist that did the palace, right? Like but instead of in any way appreciate the one, we did one show which we didn't convert into podcast because the audio engineer didn't like it, but we did the show on cutting the tall poppy.
Yeah.
Which was like, if you in the Netherlands present yourself or you show the joy of your expression, right, in any form,
which might be that you in their eyes you're elevating yourself.
Yeah, that you're elevating yourself.
They will cut you down
to size.
God forbid.
God forbid that you should elevate how you're doing, right? Because it's one thing I think we did that on quite a few shows in the past, discussing that in America, if you succeed, everyone sort of wants to almost be connected to you in some weird way, like almost being with you kind of adds to their success. Where here, it's almost like if you've elevated, people are a bit like dismissive and trying to make you feel lesser because there's no celebration of success here. It's more of a, hey, and it's very subtle, and you only know it if you're, so a Dutch person wouldn't even necessarily see it because it's like a fish in water. But if you're living, this is the 8th country, I've been living in 8 countries, and you realize each time you're in a country, there's societal beliefs which reinforce how people see and experience the world. So it's really quite a unique, I feel grateful for being able to see the world through so many lenses. It's really been a great gift. We're right next
garbage truck.
We're right next to the window, so the garbage truck just pops right in front of us.
I loved your article that the Dutch are the poorest wealthy people of the world.
Yeah, that's Ronnie gave that to me. That was pretty funny, wasn't it? Yeah, that was like, when you look at it, it's so funny because when we talk, the glasses going in, when we talk about socialism, right? We can just have a picture of what's going on in front of the window right now. This is the view out to the street. We're literally 5 meters away from everything that's going on the street. When people talk about socialism, right? Like the humor is what you're often talking about is how do the wealth between the people with the most money and the least money, how big a gap is there?
Yeah.
And if you tax, of course, the rich, then the gap gets smaller, right? And so I always think it's funny when you go to America and they're taxed, and then they're like saying, we don't want to be socialist, we don't want to be communist. Like if they were to come here, then basically you would say, they could argue that the Netherlands is a communist society. Because in a way, since we're balancing out the extreme wealth, then that is a redistribution of wealth, right? Through taxes, you have social services, and it's funny because homelessness, and there'll be seldom is there homelessness. There will be homelessness, but if you go to the U.S., it's extreme, of course.
Yeah. I think we should talk about something funny that happened to me now.
Yeah, what's that?
Client.
I forgot about this. I asked if we could discuss this. This is the best. This is the fucking best. Oh my God, I'm gonna just take this in. It's the best moment of my day right now. It's the best moment of my day.
So I had a painful experience. It was painful. It hurt. So I'm texting with my love, and she sends me a video that we made when we were having an escape in the mountains together. I was with a towel wrapped around me, brushing my teeth, and she was filming me. But she was filming in between her legs, so you could see her legs pretty much. And as I'm texting with her, I'm also talking with a client, a really good client here in the Netherlands. And I accidentally sent that video to her instead of my girlfriend. And my client responded, "I guess this was not for me." And I was like, what did I say? I'm like, "I feel really awkward right now." And then the day later, she responds, "This is the most disgusting thing a client has ever sent to me." And I just saw that there was nothing I could do in that moment to convince her otherwise.
So she took your humiliation and just like grounded it in, like not like no sympathy for you, like for just doing something dumb.
Yeah, but in a way, I really felt that she thinks that I did it intentionally.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And so
just help me. Before, so you sent it to her. Did you realize that you sent it to her?
No. Only when I got her message back.
So only when you got her message back did you know? Okay.
So I was like, "Fuck!" I was like, "Fuck." I only replied 24 hours later, like I really need to let it sit, and I just said, "Hey, listen, we've worked together, and I'm hoping that you trust me enough and know me better to jeopardize a professional relationship in that way. It was an honest mistake. I was really interacting with my partner." And to say that there was anything sleazy about the video, there wasn't. It was thighs.
Yeah. But you did write text.
Huh?
You did write text with the video.
Yeah, which I'm not going to get into.
That's the best part of the story, Bambos. You don't have to tell it.
No. So it was painful because as a man, I felt that I wasn't given the benefit of a doubt. Like, oh wow, here's another penis, possibly sexually harassing me by sending a video. Which, if she knew any better, she'd know that I'm fucking in love with this woman that I'm with, and yeah.
Yeah, that's painful.
Yeah,
because if the moment when she didn't acknowledge that must be embarrassing for you, there was absolutely no compassion for you in that situation at all.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, it was all about whatever she perceived about you, which says a lot, by the way, also, which is the more painful bit, I would think, is that you said a second ago, like, how could she even think that I would do that? Like that already says, shit, what does she think of me if she can imagine I could do that?
Well, her reaction didn't surprise me, actually, because there were certain things I saw in her behavior, but I saw them, but I in our working relationship, I really kept it clean.
Yeah.
So I would see that she would make little criticisms against her colleagues. So I already saw there was something in her that needed to minimize her surroundings. Yeah. So this was just another opportunity. So it hurt, and at the same time it didn't, because I could see that it was inevitable.
Yeah.
I was probably in the, like, if she treats her colleagues like that, why would I be any different?
Yeah. When are you going to be put in the box, right? Yeah. I think that's what people don't realize, that, how much, if you speak poorly about other people, how much others realize, well, that just means that the possibility exists I'll be also spoken about in that way.
Not only that, I just saw how much she was suffering and how uncomfortable she is being hurt.
No, that's what we see, but I don't know if the person realizes when another person experiences them, that they also are very aware that I could also be spoken about the same way.
Yeah.
I don't think people think about it because they're so engulfed in their own thinking. They don't realize, as I speak poorly about somebody else, it's a reflection of me, not a reflection of them.
It goes back to the other example we love to use on the show, is when a man or a woman is cheating on the other person. Most of the case, it's a man cheating on a woman, and is that true? I make statements. The woman that he's cheating with thinks I'm special, but in fact, she's up next in line.
Yeah, yeah. I had a friend who it was really strange for me that the man was going to get married and then he was cheating on his fiancée with my friend for many years, and she was always telling me how honest he was, and like she'd sing his praises, right? So this is a man who hasn't been married yet. He's gonna get married. He has a fiance. He's having an affair with somebody else while he's not even in a position now where he has children and all of the wedding is. He doesn't have to get a divorce. He could just be with. And so he would continually tell her, "I'm going to be with you," and this. But he has this fiance, and I try to explain to her that basically, if there's this behavior, then and he's not being honest. And can you imagine living with a person day after day, having an affair with somebody else, and how much comfort with dishonesty you'd have to make, or how much you'd have to be able to push down the discomfort?
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be dying inside emotionally, or you'd be so shut down because you've compartmentalized it so much.
Well, I know it from my own past, Andy. Not the cheating, but the lying. When I didn't feel I was good enough, I used to create a lot of stories.
Yeah.
In my early years, and I saw that at some point I would forget that it's just a story that I made up, and I started believing it myself.
Yeah.
So, and it creates a lot of confusion, of course.
I have a story from my childhood that I see as real because the dream was so real that I still can't believe it wasn't. Was that there was a oversized bear in my backyard. They climbed a tree, and there were hundreds of people in my backyard looking at the bear.
You dreamed of that
when I was really young.
Anna, if you're watching this, tell Andy what that means.
Yes.
Interpret his dream.
And ever since I was like in my old age, it's like the dream was so visceral and so real. I just think it happened because I just remember how visceral reality that was. But then my logical brain says there's no way that I could have had a few hundred people looking up at a bear in my backyard. But it feels so real that it's hard not to.
You'd be on the front page.
Yeah. And it was an oversized bear as well. I don't think it was a normal bear, which is the reason why so many people were there. Yeah. There was another article, by the way, right?
Another article.
Well, I wrote an article that would be nice to share as well about this building. So there was the trash article, which sort of trashed me. And then there was a second article which I wrote, which is the process of building this structure, which took several years, incorporated a lot of different techniques and things. So that's also worth sharing after the
If you look at this, is cotton wool, and the guy in this painting is looking at it.
Yeah, that's how my mind works. And if you look behind that, that's a floating train artist, and kind of where he would have people floating in the air. I thought, let's have a floating train set. So there's clouds, and then the train goes around in a circle, which is
it's pretty awesome when it's on.
Playful, joyous living, which doesn't go down well with certain people who think that you should not have fun once you hit 40 or 30.
I once photographed a criminal, one of the biggest criminal lawyers of the Netherlands in this building.
Which one?
I forgot his name, Oscar something. Okay. He's gay, and he's also been on posters on the museum plain. And he dresses up like Sherlock Holmes. He literally has that style with a waistcoat. If you go to his office, it's that old mahogany wood kind of style, big paintings. When he came to the house, I could see tension in his face, and I thought he was having a bad thing. He was looking around. What a horrible, horrible design. He said vreselijk, which means disgusting. Yeah. And I'm like, what do you mean? Obviously, the person that designed this building is not gay.
Oh,
obviously, the person that designed this building was playful.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So that speaks to me, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, this building created a lot of tension through the years, actually.
Painting the garden fence purple.
Yeah, there was a lot of what I noticed, what I learned in caretaking for this place for those years was that that people, and the Dutch specifically in this case, they have an idea of how things should look, and here it's there because of Calvinism, right? And you know, if you haven't read the book, it's really an incredible book. We had the author on the show, Russell Shorto.
Yeah.
And when you think about Calvinism, it's really reduction and minimalism. So less. You don't put things on the wall. You leave it flat, and then let your mind fill in the gap. And so when we put things on walls and we kind of created in the space, that I tended to see every time someone from the Netherlands came here, they'd always be very critical of it, right? Even people saying, "You're going to take that down, aren't you?" Like really. And then you'd have other cultures like the U.S. would come in and they would be celebrating it. So it's very interesting to see how different people process it through their socialized belief systems, right? Which they're often not even aware of, as we know.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. Also, if you go a little bit out of the center of Amsterdam, you start to see that Mother Nature is structured. Like the trees are planted equal distance.
Yeah, here
it's very clean.
Yeah,
there's no dead leaves. It's like almost the feminine as its wildness has been cut down and contained and controlled. So if a leaf grows a little bit that way, it's going to be cut and.
Isn't that curious? Yeah, if you think about it, that if you live here, you don't get to experience the wild nature. You get to experience the curated nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I look at the garden here, it is a little bit wild, even though you've made it's beautifully made.
Yeah. We did that intentionally, of course.
Yeah.
Primordial was the idea. We want to see dinosaurs walking down the pathways.
Yeah, I think one more thing from my end is on my journey of creating the men's retreat. I said I would create it when I was in Cyprus because there was something in my imagination about being in the mountains and inviting people from my network here in the Netherlands to experience where I came from.
Sure.
And the mountains are really raw. It's that rawness. It's like that like when we talk about men being wild and grounded, it feels like there's a wild and grounded energy in the mountains.
Yeah.
And a harshness. It's cold, it's hot. It's cold and hot.
Yeah.
And I remembered I was postponing it. And in the postponing, I started to feel really uncomfortable. But I was justifying it because I was being productive in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And at some point, I was like, there's something that I'm not fully owning or I'm doing that I promised myself I would do.
Mm-hmm.
So I sat in the ice bath because now I have an ice bath in Cyprus. It's a really good one. Better than the one I have here.
Do you unplug it when you go in?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
You have to.
I would think so. I just wouldn't want you to get electrocuted. Okay, go ahead.
This one makes so much noise when it's on that you know it's on.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting in the ice bath and it hit me. I didn't create the men's retreat. So I was thinking, I need to go and write. And I'm like, why don't we just make a video now? You inspired me because I remember when you were going to do your last letter tour, you started talking about it when you were in the shower.
Did I?
You made a video, and in the shower. I will pull it out of the past.
I did a video in the shower before I went on the last letter tour. Was it the last letter?
Sharing that you're going to go and do that.
Oh, great. Yeah, I remember doing a video in the shower. I didn't know it was for that.
Yeah.
I just didn't make that clear. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now you're making me doubt. But
So
I started making a video in the ice bath and just sharing that I'm going to create this event. And then I realized I need to keep talking about it to give it life. And yesterday at the airport, or actually the day before, I was like judging myself because, my videos are not structured. They're too long.
Yeah.
I'm rumbling a lot. There's a lot of, And at some point, like, no, that's really part of the journey. That's the beauty of the journey.
Mm.
So I went back to celebrating the imperfection, and it was really cool because I opened my messages this morning, and I had so many messages and I didn't reply, but there were also like friends who know me here in the Netherlands, and the guy was saying, I love you. The first time I saw you, he said, was in the winter, and our dear friend David Kaiser invited us to do the swim in the water.
Yeah.
And he's like, I saw you coming with shorts and a tank top, and I said to him, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, everyone says that about you. Who the fuck is this guy?
Nobody.
Listen, those shorts you used to wear, Ronnie was like, he's got to get different shorts. No, they aren't those shorts. Those
no, I bought a lot of shorts now.
Because one looked like you were wearing your underwear outside. That's what she said.
Because they were colorful and polka dotty. So yeah, I had a lot of messages, and those messages also encouraged me to keep doing what I'm doing. Kind of me being brain frozen and not knowing what to say has kind of inspired people to do that too. And it's almost like if you get a bottle and you open it, that's how it feels like in my body. You open the bottle and there's maybe a lot of stuff on the top that you don't want to eat, but you have to take that out before the good stuff comes out. And that's how I experience myself. The good stuff is coming out.
It's beautiful. When is that retreat planned?
It's going to be on around the second week of January 2022.
Second week of January 2022.
Yeah, because the first week in Cyprus, people in Cyprus like to stay in the mountains because it's very beautiful.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of these villas are super expensive. You're looking at 500-600 euros a day.
Wow. So,
and on the second week, the prices drop a little bit.
Okay.
But I'll be expecting to pay around that if I want something good.
Nice.
And of course, the second retreat will be in Spain, in this beautiful mansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The villa.
The villa.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of nice times to be had. I think we'll be doing a Wonderful Chaos retreat there for sure.
2022, put it in your agendas.
Yeah, 2022. Second anniversary.
What month would it be?
We have to look. Certainly, I think we're going to reach out to the 10 people and say, hey, what works for you best, right?
No, if we say it already ahead of time,
then
like now, people can already block in their agendas.
I would say June
2022, we're having a Wonderful Chaos retreat
in Orchiva, Spain.
And we'll be farming.
Yes.
Sharing, talking, cooking.
We'll take road trips if people want to. Cordoba is incredible. It is a beautiful place. It felt a bit like Venice, actually, even when I went there. Alhambra in Granada is also an incredible place. And I even found this castle-like area where I was driving on the freeway and I looked over and I said, Ronnie, we're going there. You know, I didn't even know what it was. And then we drove to it and it was just, it was miraculous. It was really, really brilliant. You don't see that well taken care of places that are from that old, you know? So it was really.
Do you also have a lot of empty buildings in Spain, like really that you can't live in them? They're just abandoned.
Yeah, there's some. Like you'll see them. There are a lot of, because of course the cortijos, you know, they also can get run down very quickly if they're not taken care of. So that's why people buy a lot of these really ramshackle buildings that have a few acres of land around them. But the problem is that it's usually protected land. So you can't build on it. You can build on the footprint, which maybe is not a very big house. So some people just say, hey, if I can only build that much, you know, even to rebuild it is not easy, right?
Yeah.
So, but a lot of people off grid. I mean, that area has really got one of the largest communities of alternative living in Europe, right?
Did you discover anything else besides Hidden Paradise?
Yeah, I mean, there's this place right down the road called Beneficio, right? I don't know if you know, it's down the hill or near to Hidden Paradise, but
where they do the ayahuasca.
No, that's another area. So there's the ayahuasca area. There's because that place has the teepees, right? So there's all the people live in teepees, and it's sort of interesting because one thing that I really found incredibly curious is that I really feel that when I'm there, I'm living what a future reality is going to be in the world. And what I mean by that is that like everything there is more recycled. So in Amsterdam, everything is thrown on the street. So you can walk on the street and there's like a $50 table here, or there's something of that's a couch or
around this time of the year, Christmas time. It's crazy. Like on New Year's Eve and on the 26th, 27th, the streets is full of good stuff.
Yeah.
People just get new things.
And no one sells anything here. They just leave it on the street and it's thrown away. But it's not. But in Orkiva, it's all resold and it's very expensive, like comparative to the Netherlands, which is kind of funny because the economy is weaker, but used goods are more expensive.
Yeah.
And that's something that I realized that from we as a society have still have access to easy, disposable. We're not thinking about recycling, but when you're
comfort,
the comfort and
not appreciating, running water,
all of it. So there you see all of people buying used things, selling used things, and it's just a very different way of seeing consumption. And that's I really did enjoy it, and I do believe in the future we're going to be looking more at that as supply chains get harder, products get more expensive, people have they're more ecologically conscious, right?
Yeah.
Instead of saying I'm going to buy something new from IKEA, I'll look for something which I can refurbish with something and upgrade it to what I want. Right? I think that'll happen. I hope it happens, actually.
I also think, not only that, I also think people that live in cities are going to see it's harder and harder to, as resources get shorter. I mean, it's not like people during a crisis can go out and plant their own food.
Yeah. So
I do see that your move is something that a lot of people will be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, you certainly see it already, right?
Yeah.
And from the just looking out, right? Because we've got, we're heading into the new year. What you'll be going back to Cyprus, and you said you don't even know necessarily what your time frame would be to come back here. Is that dependent on anything? Or would you say, for instance, if you were to if your relationship stays strong, as I imagine it will, would that mean, hey, Andy, I probably will be there the rest of my life? Could you say that?
Anna is very flexible. So she's an artist. So in a way, we've talked about if I come here, then she comes here. But it's not like she's going to follow me. It's because she wants to come.
Got it. Okay.
And the same with me. But I do feel really drawn to the land there. I've also been looking at land, just allowing myself to wander and dream. And I went and saw a house with my nephew. This house was on the top of the hill, and instead of going to the maklar, what do you call that in English?
Real estate agent.
Real estate agent. My nephew said, "Hey, we're going to go see this house." Mm-hmm. So we drove. There was no road to get there. We had to drive through someone's land, or at least Google Maps took us that. And then we arrived at these gates. It wasn't a clear way because the house up there, and then there's these gates.
Yeah.
And there were like 20, 30 dogs barking at us. And we got out the car, and all of a sudden you hear this voice of a guy shouting at the dogs. And this guy comes with shorts, barefoot, a little bit scruffy looking, and he's like, is this guy owning those mansions up there? Or is he just the caretaker? Yeah. So he's the owner. He used to live in Africa, and he came back, and he was really lucky. He bought this land, but we had to get through the dogs, and then he takes us up there, and he doesn't live there.
Okay.
He likes to live in nature, so he built a little shackle on the bottom, like really scruffy looking, and up there it's just empty.
Wow. And
he's been trying to sell it for the last 4 years, but the funny thing is, it didn't have any water, so the pumps were broken, and the trees around the land, he's not feeding them with. So everything's pretty much dying. But we went up there, Andy, and the view was ecstatic.
Really?
Yeah. So I even thought about doing the retreat there, but there wouldn't be any running water for the guys.
Yeah.
And I think that would be one step too much for people to not have clean water.
That clean water, yeah. Wow, that's wild, man.
And he was looking at 800K for it.
Yeah, well, you got to make sure the water work. It's worth nothing if there's no water. It's like
You're gonna have to spend a lot of money fixing. There was a swimming pool also, but of course not working.
exactly. So it's got mossy green stuff in it now, I'm sure. Wow, that's great. Yeah, I will be traveling a lot at the end of this year. I'll be going to the U.S. and to Costa Rica.
Costa Rica?
Yeah, probably go to Mexico for a bit.
Oh, holiday?
No, projects.
Work.
All work. So I'll be actively just going around and catching up with some clients. Maybe even New York, right? That's sort of New York is in the picture. LA is in the picture, and Cleveland. So there's a lot of. I'm back to a little bit of my old stomping grounds of visiting in with clients and checking in and doing that again.
Well, now the boards have opened.
And we'll see how long that remains the case. Yeah.
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 Are we getting another lockdown here, I heard?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, because we have the highest rate of transmission since ever. This is the highest rate ever. No. So it's kind of weird to be so open and then no, only a year ago it was like this and it was like strict lockdown, and now it's, you know, the deaths are down, of course. So that's the issue. That's why they're not making a big issue of it. But that's where we are.
That's where we are.
We are here, and this is it. I don't see us doing another show. Will we do another show, Bambos, before we leave, or no?
Shall we see?
We see. We'll leave it open. We'll let you make comments and give us suggested subjects, because I think I'd like to talk about something more specific if we do another show.
Well, if we're going to do it, my only availability will be Tuesday.
Okay. So then Tuesday it is maybe. We will see you sometime, somewhere over the rainbow on a wonderful chaos.